Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background and I'm the author of the book Truth and Empathy, How to Find Your Soulmate. And I'll put a link to my book below. This video is about the difference between intuition and empathy. I see a lot of people online confused about whether or not they are intuitives. And many of them believe that because they are very empathetic, it means that they're very in tune with their intuition. But that's different. Empathy has to do with if a person is right brain dominant versus left brain dominant. And even in terms of empathy, there are different degrees. For example, a person who has extrovert feeling as their first or second function stack is more empathetic than a person who has introverted feeling as their first or second function stack. For example, a person who's a ENFJ is more empathetic than an ESFP. And what does that mean is that in terms of their relationship style, a person who has extrovert feeling as their first or second function, that is looking to bond with others, and they're more concerned about group harmony than a person who has introvert feeling as their first or second function type, because what they want is to be authentic. So they're willing to, in other words, put other people's feelings or the need to bond with others as a lower priority than their need to be truly themselves. By contrast, a person who has a thinking function at their first or second function stack, they make decisions mostly on logic. And these individuals rarely confuse their thinking functions for intuition. Most people believe that intuition has to do with being emotional, being less logical, but it really has to do with a person's dominant brain waves. About 85% of the world population are sensors because their dominant brainwaves is beta. So if you were to plug them in and look at their EEGs, it is between, the correct one will be between 12 and 16 cycles per second. People who are intuitives, their brainwaves are slower, so it is between 11 cycles per second or slower. And in the case of, for instance, the INFJ, it could go down below 6, so anywhere between 5 cycles per second or even 3 or even slower in some cases. So in other words, it has to do with the person's ability to be more in a calm state, and also the brain is more coherent. And I'm going to put below a link to a video that I made of about 40 characters of intuitive, so people really understand what I'm talking about. So in other words, intuitives are, in a sense, are the exception to the rule. When you meet a person, you have to assume that they are sensors unless proven otherwise. So in other words, empathy points to a person being either right brain dominant or left brain dominant, and there are different degrees of that. For example, a person who has extrovert feeling as their first or second function, that are the most empathetic, versus a person who's very left brain dominant or the least empathetic, or have extroverted thinking as their first or second function stack. By contrast, intuition has to do with how slow a person's dominant brainwaves are. So most people have fast beta brainwaves during their waking hours, whereas a person who's intuitive, it's a much smaller group of people. So in other words, you're going to meet a lot more people who are empathetic than people who are intuitives. So a person who's empathetic could be a sensor and could be an intuitive, but an intuitive on their own, it's really maybe at most maybe 15% of the population. So it is very much a small group of people versus sensors who are the majority. So let me know what you think about the content of this video by commenting below. If you like this video, if you learned something, please click on the like button. Also remember to click on the notification bell to be notified of other videos I'm going to be making. Subscribe to my channel, and we will talk soon.